G'day everyone, welcome back to episode 4 of this preview series of the new 1904 Imperial Sunrise campaign for Strategic Command American Civil War. I'm Bite Nibble Chomp, or Ryan O'Shea, the developer of this campaign and the game itself, and I'm playing against Old Crow Balthazor in a multiplayer game to sort of show you how the campaign works and talk you through it a bit. So, if you've missed the previous episodes, well, first off, go and watch them. But the campaign will be part of the 1.08 patch for Strategic Command Civil War, which will be releasing, as far as I know, June 29th. I'm playing the Russians, Old Crow's taking the Japanese. The Japanese are still somewhere in Korea or the East China Sea. We haven't seen them yet. When they appear, we'll know about it. He's bombarding that. I'm not sure if he's just got too much ammo back there in Japan, but seems to think that that place is a priority. What it actually means is if he does manage to capture it, he'll capture a burnt out husk instead of a town. The towns in this campaign, when they get occupied, they don't get damaged the way they usually do. Japan during this war, and in stark contrast to both the First and Second Wars against China, they made a big point of treating the civilian population well. In fact, they recruited a lot of native Koreans and Chinese people in the area to transport their supplies for them, served as, well, maybe not officially spies, but they'd certainly tell them where the Russians were. It was a big part of why they were so successful in this campaign. But if you want to knock this place down to one supply, what you're really doing, you have to draw your supply from here. It'll be 6 when he occupies it rather than 8 because it's going to be occupied territory. Supply 6 here is supply 1 there. You're not going to be able to get to Port Arthur nearly so well as if you've got the supply from this place. So it'll be very interesting to see how that strategy goes for him. I'm at the moment still focusing primarily on repairing these. How much will you cost? You'll cost 18, they'll bring us to 74. Might replace this idiot with a actually skilled commander. That's 75, but it's also worth it. The commanders that they're status 2, those are useless. Might as well not have them at all, honestly. Even McClellan's better than a 2, so I'm not going to be putting too much stock into those clowns. I'm going to replace them as soon as everything more urgent is done. Now, what I'd like to do, I've got 4 cruisers here in Vladivostok. The Japanese Navy it's out somewhere. I know a fair bit of it is located here. He's obviously going to be watching what I do around Port Arthur. What I'm actually going to do around Port Arthur is very little for a while. Until I can either determine what his Navy's up to beyond bombarding helpless towns, or until I can get the Baltic Fleet out here to do something with them. There's not really any point exposing them to danger. Of course, what you can do with the Russian Navy, particularly if you don't get absolutely smashed up on turn 1, is they're actually able to come out and really challenge the Japanese. They have 4 battleships to start with, the Japanese have 4, so their odds aren't too bad. They actually had 7 battleships. Most of the units in this campaign are, or at least the boats, they represent a couple of ships each rather than just one. The torpedo boats are worth about 5 ships to each counter. But to keep the number of counters on the map manageable, I combine them a bit. But I've got these cruisers. Historically, these cruisers went on a number of raids. One of them got all the way here. The Japanese were actually transporting some artillery, ultimately to bombard Port Arthur with, and the cruisers just sort of chanced upon and sank the boat that was carrying all the artillery. Now, it really set the Japanese back. Of course, I reckon Old Crow, what he's going to do, he's not going to just have a transport out there that lets me just slam into him. If he does, he's not as skilled a strategist as I'm giving him credit for. Certainly based on our game a few months ago in the War of the Pacific, he was very skilled there, so I'm not putting anything past him. But what I would like to do is sort of get them out of Vladivostok. They're pretty useless up here. Does he have anyone waiting for me? If he doesn't, I'm going to slip across here. And then next turn I'm going to see if I can't sail them. Probably first to Sakhalin, which is this island. And I'll see if I can't get them around Japan unnoticed. If I can get away with that, I might be able to surprise him somewhere. Be pretty funny to put some cruisers out here. He'll be able to deploy some units. He can certainly deploy a couple of ships outside Tokyo. I imagine most of his land units he's going to deploy in this area. It's much closer, so certainly more efficient to do that. But if I put the cruisers out somewhere, I might be able to catch something unawares, or otherwise slip them across, get them into Port Arthur, and then I've doubled my force there. Well, not sure if it's quite double. I've got 3 battleships, 4 cruisers. Not sure how you count them. The cruisers aren't too bad in this campaign. The pre-dreadnought battleships, they were better than the armoured cruisers, but they weren't a huge amount better. So, in fact, I'll show you the stats actually. It's 6 for the battleships, and got a cruiser here. That's a 5. Not a lot of difference, so it'll more be positioning, and if we're able to keep our force intact, much more so than whether a ship's a battleship or a cruiser. It's usually the one who surprises the other has the advantage. What do you have out here? Nothing. Awesome, you don't even know that I'm doing that. Alright. Now, it is another quiet turn, but the calm around Korea, it's going to end very soon. This campaign is... a lot of it is a race against the clock. The Russians have to really just hold out long enough until their production advantage can kick in. The Japanese really have to beat the Russian army as quickly as possible before the Russians are able to build up a large enough force. Because sort of once Japan shoots its bolt, if it doesn't win, it's never going to. It simply doesn't have the reserves, the production capability to hold up for a long war. So all I've got to do is blunt his momentum, and I should be able to win. Of course, when I was playing War of the Pacific, I said a few times that I'd been able to win the campaign effectively in 10 turns, and we ended up going for, I think it was 44 or something. Only about 5 turns from the end of the campaign, so he's certainly going to have more than a few surprises for me. Should be a very interesting game. Anyway, that's turn 4. I'm going to end it here. Oh yes, this happened historically. There should be a picture there. It might be a... I'm not sure exactly what files the what Old Crow's set up on his end, so it might be that just he doesn't have the picture set up. The picture should be there when you get access to the campaign though. Alright. Well, that's turn 4. Thanks for watching. I'll see you tomorrow.